As a group, we spent a significant portion of our discussions considering various literacies and how we could use them in class to help students' individual identities. We realized that the goal of both digital and traditional text is to present layers of meaning that relate to experiences of the human condition. As such, allowing students to choose their own literacy text will allow students to better engage in class and gain an understanding of their own identities. We determined that students should be able to choose the way in which they present their learning for assessment in order for students to remain engaged in class. We found that freedom in a low-risk and low-consequence environment is essential to students exploring their respective interests. In short, multimodal identities broadly include any form of communication that conveys meaning. Identity and literacy is nothing more or less than the ability to use a variety of literacies to affirm and support existing and emerging identities.
Our Identity Fair project started out organically through one of our weekly discussions in the course. We wanted to focus on some practical ways to implement what we were learning in our classes in real-world classrooms. Our objective was to find an activity focused on identity expression that promoted multimodal literacy in a resource-constrained environment. Ensuring that our activity is implementable in a resource-constrained environment ensures that our Identity Fair activity can be presented in any school, regardless of socioeconomic status. The goal of the Identity Fair is to encourage students of varying ages and English language learner status to promote their self-identity through various multimodal literacies. Students can utilize any mode or medium that fits their skills, from simple posters to elaborately edited videos. Each project must include visual, textual, and oral elements. The original intention was to establish the Identity Fair across several schools. This would create a cross-cultural exchange between schools and even countries, should international schools be invited. However, the Identity Fair can also be implemented in a single school or classroom. This activity was chosen because it incorporates several elements of multimodal literacy in support of the student's self-identity.
We created a lesson plan of the Multimodal Identity Project aimed at grade 8 students. The purpose of the Identity Fair is essentially twofold. For one, students will have the opportunity to explore the varied aspects that make up their own and their classmates' identities. Doing so in such a way that celebrates diversity allows students to build self-confidence in their differences. At the same time, students must be able to choose what aspects of their identity they want to share with the class. Secondly, the students will be utilizing and expanding upon a multimodal literacy platform of their choice to express themselves. The presentation for the Identity Fair will take 1 week, or 5 one-hour class periods. In the first class, the teacher will introduce the concept of identity and discuss and identify with the students the many sections of identity. The teacher will suggest possible formats for the presentation and share a personal example of their own identity to the students. During the remainder of the class, the teacher will guide the student to brainstorm various aspects of their identity. The second class will be geared towards narrowing down to which aspect of identity the students will present, and also to explore and decide on the format they will use. Classes 3 through 5, students will work on their presentations and be able to ask any questions they may have. The second week will be the Identity Fair. Students should be divided up so that about 6 students present their identity to the class each day. Students will share their presentations in front of the class on their designated day. Afterward, all students presenting will be available for their classmates to view their presentation and ask questions. Students are encouraged to engage with the presenters with questions. On the last presentation day, the teacher will take 20 to 30 minutes to have students reflect on what they learned and appreciate about the diversity of identities in their classroom.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today, we are going to start a new project. This project will be creating a presentation of some part of your identity to share with your classmates. So today, we're going to start this by exploring what identity is. And tomorrow, we'll explore some of the formats you can use to create this presentation. And then The rest of the week you'll have available for working on creating these presentations. Throughout this whole time, I'm available to talk to you to work through the process. Next week, each of you will have a day to present your identity. We'll assign everybody a day based on your preferences. You'll have about 2.5 minutes to 5 minutes of presentation and 5 minutes for your classmates to engage with you. I encourage everyone through this process to come up with questions for their classmates. It can be on questions you have about a friend's identity, or similarities you have, or maybe you want more details. We'll work through this as well as the week goes on. Any questions at this point? No, okay. So first of all, we need to talk about identity. Can any of you tell me what identity is to you? Gracie?
Your family history and your culture?
Yes, your family history and your culture definitely shape a lot of what makes you you as you grow up in the world. Very good. Anybody else? Rachele?
My language?
Yes, your language definitely shapes part of your identity and how you name the world. Anyone else? Sergio?
The things you like and don't like.
Exactly. Yes, that's a great part of our identity. What we like, what we don't like, what we're good at. So this can range from anything from sports, through food, through interests, all of that. Wonderful, you guys. Anything else you can think of?
Like how I was raised?
Yes, exactly. How you were raised really get into some values that shape how you think about the world, what you think is important in the world, what you want to be in the world, how you see yourself in the world. Very good. Along with this as well, other aspects of our identity can be things like our gender identity, our ethnic identity, and our racial identity. We can continue exploring this on a personal level as we keep working through this. Do you guys have any more questions about that at the moment? No? Okay. So the format for presenting this is very open. You can create a poster. The poster can be a digital poster on your computer or a material poster. You can bring in some pictures and items from home. You can make a video of clips of things you like, clips of your daily life. You can make a video of animations. And in all of these presentations, I encourage you to use some text within it to kind of guide your classmates into what aspects of your identity you're referring to. And this text can be of any sort, of any language. Now, for starters, I will show you all a quick example of my own. It's loading, 2 moments. I chose to do a digital poster. I chose to do a digital poster, and the aspect of myself that I explored is my interest and background with archaeology. I use minimal text on this. You can use much more if you like. But what I'm really trying to get at are the aspects of myself where friends have become teammates in my exploration of the past. And at the same time, I have encountered a lot of beauty in nature through this process. It's shaped how I look at the world through kind of a long-term lens about how we've come to where we are. It's also an ongoing interest for me. Anytime I travel anywhere, or even still at home, I like to explore aspects of the human past and what makes kind of everything so unique and interesting. Do you guys have any questions about that right now? No? Okay, so sorry, Gracie.
So I just want to make sure that we can kind of do anything we want. So if I wanted to make a movie or maybe do like a presentation just in front of the class, that would also be okay?
Yes, that will be perfectly fine. Again, you'll have about 2.5 to 5 minutes to present to the class. And after that, about 5 minutes of your classmates asking you questions or pointing out what they think is cool.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, with that, I think it's time for us to all start brainstorming on our identity. So let's get started.
As a student, the first thing that I needed to do to start this project was to brainstorm some of the things that I believe really shape my identity. I tried not to think too much and to just write down things that I felt truly represented me as a person. This is the list that I came up with. At the end, I looked at the list and realized that I wanted to share about my female identity, and I chose the topic female empowerment. When considering how to present my identity fair project, I decided that I wanted to create a digital poster so that I had the option to print it off and display it, but also to have a digital copy that people could look at. I then had to think of how I wanted the poster to look. I knew I wanted it to be minimalistic, with quotes from women that are meaningful to me and pictures of women who inspire me. I chose this because it would provide the viewer with some things to look at and to read, but the presentation would be mainly delivered by me speaking to my audience. This is how I made my vision come to life.
Now, class, let's enjoy exploring our identities at the Identity Fair.
Hi! So for my presentation, I'm very excited to share with you all about how female empowerment is an integral part of my identity. When I was in elementary school, I used to love to play sports at lunch. It was one of my very favorite things to do. I was typically one of the only girls playing, but I didn't really mind. I always made sure that I brought my runners so that I could go outside, play games, and run like crazy. When I was in the 4th grade, I entered my school's talent show. I was so excited to sing in front of everybody, and I wore my brand new skirt that my mom bought me. I didn't want my skirt to hold me back at lunch though from playing soccer, so I did wear a pair of tights underneath so that I couldn't be slowed down. When I went outside, I wasn't greeted with the typical kindness and enthusiasm that I normally was. Instead, I was told by my male friends, "You can't play soccer in a skirt." Well, I took my skirt off right then and there, revealing my pants, expecting the problem to be resolved. But boy, was I wrong. I was instead told that girls can't play soccer, and I was shoved to the ground. This was my first real brush with the notion that girls couldn't do something just because they were girls. I will admit, I did get into a slight altercation with said boy over this, but I do think that this moment is really defining for me in what sent me forward in being a real feminist. So, this is my digital poster. So this first quote up here is by Gloria Steinem, who said that a feminist is anyone who recognizes the equality and full humanity of women and men. And this really resonates with me and is something that I kind of live by. Socially constructed gender norms are not indicators of ability. They truthfully mean nothing. I knew this in the 4th grade, as I proved by getting back up after being pushed down and fighting for the fact that girls can do anything that boys can do. I have my mother, who I have in that picture, that first picture up there, to thank for this mentality. She always reminded me that I was strong, capable, and smart, and to not let people push me down just because I was a woman. She made sure that I was proud of who I was, and I think this has had a really positive impact on both my self-perception and my self-identity. Madeleine Albright said that it took me quite a long time to develop a voice, and now that I have it, I'm not going to be silent. I included this in my poster because I really love what she said. Ever since that incident in the 4th grade, I have not been silent about women being equal. It's been something that I've actually fought very hard for, even when I was the only one fighting for it in the room. The second picture that I have right here is some of my female friends. These women are some of the most brilliant and kind people that I know. Many are published academics now, and they all work to break the glass ceiling and push for women to be equals every single day. Surrounding myself with strong female influences has helped me feel very empowered as a woman. The last quote I have down here is by G.D. Anderson, who said that feminism is not about making women stronger. Women are already strong. It is changing the way that the world perceives that strength. I love this because it really gets to the root of my female empowerment identity. I don't need feminism to tell me that I'm strong and capable. I'm already those things. I need it so that strong and capable women are viewed as equals who can, as I said as a child, do anything that a boy can do. Thank you for watching.
My family's history is one of poverty made better through education. My grandfather started working at the age of 7 as a mechanic's assistant. This was rural 1950s Mexico, where that sort of thing was allowed. He finished high school through night classes in his late 20s, university in his 30s, while working full-time. He joined Bayer & Bayer by walking in and demanding a job. When they told him no, he said that he would work for free and they could pay him if they were satisfied with his work. He ended up being the national operations manager until he retired. He's a virtuous man that mastered himself mentally and physically. He practices yoga and exercises every day, and can certainly do more push-ups than I can. Athletics also forms a core part of my identity. I have pursued martial arts, football, cycling, mountain biking, and all sorts of other sports throughout my life. Here you can see me after a particularly large crash. Just this year, I separated my shoulder while riding my mountain bike, only to get back to it a few weeks later. My mom calls me crazy, but I have too much fun to quit. The latest obsession is long-distance cycling and downhill mountain biking. Yet the most life-changing part of my identity is that I am Mexican-Canadian. My parents decided to move here for me and my brother because the standard of living is so much better. Canada has given me every opportunity I could have hoped for. I have debated at provincial and national levels and competed in business case competitions at the national level. In 2016, I decided that I wanted to join the Canadian Armed Forces as a military policeman because I thought it would be a great way to give back to the community that adopted me with open arms. This career has sent me across the country. Here you can see my cheery face after getting pepper sprayed as part of our training. Similarly, I decided to be a teacher because I wanted to give back to the community through education. My family's future was changed because my grandfather believed in the promise and power of education. He was able to raise his entire family out of poverty in a single generation. Teachers helped guide him along the way, and I hope to play a part in that journey towards prosperity for others. Family, and especially remembering where I came from, forms a strong part of my identity. These influences shape who I am and inform how I choose to live my life. Thank you so much for watching.
When I was 5 years old, I begged my parents to order us a video cassette documentary on Walt Disney World. When we finally received it, I watched that thing over and over again because there was nothing I wanted to do more in the world than go to Disney World. Fast forward to when I'm 15 and I finally get to go on the trip I have been dreaming of for a decade. We go to Disney and I see the smiles on everybody's faces. I see how happy all of the guests are to be there. And I think to myself, I want to be one of the reasons they have those smiles on their faces. I want to help put magic into everybody's lives the way Disney does. Now, I'm Canadian and Canadians don't get to just apply for Disney. So I go the traditional route and go to university, but I still make time for yearly trips to Florida just so I can go to the parks. Eventually, I graduate university and get a real adult job in government. I have paperwork to do, I sit at a desk all day, and I hate it. So I decide to apply for some jobs online, and first place I go look is Disney. Now, they were hiring everybody, and by everybody I mean they were hiring people internationally 4 jobs in China. And I think, yes, this is my chance as a Canadian to work for the company I've been dreaming of forever. So I apply for this teaching job, having never really wanted to be a teacher before, and I get it. I get there and we learn all about the 4 Disney keys. Now, in order, they are safety, courtesy, show, and efficiency. What they mean is that we always have to put safety first. We always have to be courteous and kind. We always have to put on a good show so that people are happy to do whatever it is they're doing with us. And efficiency, because nobody wants to waste anybody's time. For the next year, I teach young children, and I love it. I have fun, I have a blast until the pandemic hits, and I'm hit with a choice of going back to an office job or going back to school so I can learn how to become a full-time teacher. Disney is basically the reason I'm back in school. I wouldn't be on the path I'm on today if it hadn't been for my love of the company and the way